Hello, and welcome to the 180th consecutive episode of the How to Survive podcast. It's 180. 180, the best score you can get on a dartboard.
180.
Chris there providing some acoustic commentary on that fact.
And also, Joe, I think you'd agree that we've really turned it around since we started the podcast.
Yeah. Yes, back to where we came from.
Yeah.
It's all downhill from here. So, with that said, you are Chris Morris.
Yes.
I am Joe Sherville.
Unfortunately.
And for the 180th time, we're here to talk about a film.
Yes.
For the third time, because the movie...
Technically the fourth time.
Yeah.
Because we talked about the same one. Oh, fifth time, yeah. That is true.
Don't get bogged down in semantics. Right. Let's be clear. This is the third movie in the franchise of the Friday the 13th. No, Nightmare on Elm Street.
Let's not get bogged down.
Listen. It's a complicated thing to try to explain to a layman.
Yeah.
And you are a layman.
Yeah. Layman.
Yeah.
Good. Nice.
Right. I'm going to hit it this time. Ready?
Yep.
This is the How to Survive podcast.
Hi.
It's the 180th episode.
Yes,
right?
It is. Famously.
Yeah. Each episode that ends with a 0 is a franchise movie. The franchise we're currently doing is Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yes.
This is the third one.
Yes.
Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors.
Yes.
Which came out in 1987.
Yes.
It's written by Wes Craven, directed by
not Wes
some
Craven.
bozo. More on that later.
That is important.
There are spoilers on this podcast. If you want to go and watch the Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors, before listening to this podcast, this is your final chance before we spoil it.
Mm-hmm.
Don't bother. We will explain it thoroughly after this.
Razors on his right hand. Man of my dreams. He's real, isn't he? He's real.
All right, mate.
Hi.
So, ready for the recap?
Absolutely.
What are you predicting? That Freddy? Is he going to be in it?
I think there's going to be a nightmare.
Yeah. On where?
Not Elm Street, though, Joe.
No. A bit of a misappropriation of the Elm Street name there. I think trading standards need to be involved.
Yeah.
Patricia is up late building a model of a house.
Patricia is the name of the actress. Patricia Arquette.
Wait, hold on. Control F. Right. Just wait 1 second. Every single mention in this document of Kristen actually says Patricia.
I can't wait for later in the podcast where you go, I thought Kristen Arquette was really good in the role.
Now listen, as I was saying, Kristen is up late building a model of a house from a recurring nightmare she's been having. Her mum comes in to tell her to go to bed, and she does, falling asleep and dreaming of a gloomy boiler room where a small child guides her through a series of terrifying, surreal experiences, seemingly orchestrated by a man with a dirty brown hat, burnt face, and razors on his right hand. Kristen wakes up to find her wrist slashed, seemingly by herself, and her mother has her committed to a psychiatric hospital.
Mm-hmm.
In the hospital are a group of similarly afflicted teenagers. All of them have terrible dreams and have been driven to attempt suicide, though they all blame their dreams rather than any particular mental health problems.
Yeah.
Kristen is less than happy to be in the hospital and cuts up rough, but is soothed by the new intern in the hospital, Nancy Thompson, from the first film. Now a dream research doctor who has suppressed her own bad dreams using the drug Hypnosil.
Which they also stage a raid on a hospital to get in Freddy vs. Jason.
There we are.
A fact I discovered when Googling to find out if Hypnosil was a real drug.
Is it?
No.
Kristen is attacked again in a dream, and this time pulls Nancy into the dream to help her. Nancy, who's obviously an expert in all things Freddy, realizes that Kristen has the gift of being able to pull things into her dream.
That famous gift.
Yeah. So she convinces the rest of the group that they all need to go into the dream world together to attack Freddy. Freddy puts out countermeasures and begins attacking them in their dreams, leading them into violent and surreal traps, which result in apparent suicides. Although I think the only one that's successful is the guy who he marionettes off the bell tower.
Yeah, he uses his like veins as puppet strings to marionette him off the bell tower, and then also there's the girl who gets her head smashed into a TV.
Right. Yeah. I mean that's a common suicide method for a lot of people. Leap 5 feet off the ground and drive your head through a TV.
Yeah, Lawrence Fishburne discovers the body, and if I was him, I'd be thinking, okay, well, there's obviously some foul play involved.
A nun tells the doctor of the facility, a guy called Neil, that it used to be managed by nuns, this psychiatric hospital, and that on one occasion, some years ago, one nun was locked in the facility with all the mental patients over the holidays, and that they raped her, all of them, and the result was Freddy Krueger. Great. We needed that.
Excellent.
That. Yeah.
Excellent stuff.
She says the only way to stop Freddy attacking is to lay his bones to rest. Neil...
Do you know who the actress is who plays the nun? Or are you none the wiser?
Is the actress important, or is the...
It's none of your business.
Oh, mate. You're non-stop with these, aren't you? That doesn't work because it's non. Bit of a non-event. Neil confides this to Nancy, and the pair seek out Nancy's father, who was the sheriff in the first one, to find out where the bones are kept. Because if you recall, he was one of the group of vigilantes who burned Freddy to death.
Correct.
For killing children. The hospital staff decide to sedate Kristen, who is becoming aggressive again, and Nancy rushes to help her. With Nancy's help, the rest of the teenagers engage in group hypnosis and enter the dream world. They use various dream powers to fight Freddy, which include having a voice, being able to walk, and being beautiful but bad. And these aren't exaggerated. We'll come to this. We'll come to this. Freddy outsmarts them, and he's about to deliver the killing blow to Joey, but then Freddy disappears and rejoins the real world in the form of his own skeleton, which Neil and Nancy's father have recovered from the back of a car in a scrapyard. He possesses the skeleton, and in what must be an allusion to Jason and the Argonauts, the skeleton kills Nancy's father and knocks Neil unconscious.
Yes. Stop motion
skeleton. Freddy disappears back to the dream world, where he appears to Nancy as her father, luring her into an embrace before killing her. Neil douses Freddy's bones in holy water, bringing an end to his assault and freeing the children, or teenagers, from their nightmares.
Yeah, Nancy sort of grabs... In the moments before her death, she sort of stabs Freddy with his own glove as well. Yeah, which I don't know what that does really. Yeah,
I guess it shows that he has no power over her.
Well, she still dies, so
yeah. In a coda, we see Neil, Dr. Gordon, go to bed, and he's sleeping peacefully. But then the model of the house. So he's taken the model of the Elm Street house home with him. Yeah, but he's also taken the doll of Nancy. She had this like doll that wards off bad dreams. So he's taken all these like bric-a-brac from various people who've been under his care. Yeah. And the model house from the nightmare of one of his patients, the light turns on.
Yeah, which is, you know, as we've learned over the 3 films, a clear indication that Freddy Krueger is around.
What, when the model house turns on?
You know.
Yeah.
Like always happens. Always happens with Freddy Krueger.
No, you know what happens is he does something in the room when you're asleep in it.
Yeah.
Not in your dream, but in the room when you're asleep. That's the movie anyway.
Yes, it is. Well, one thing you forgot just at the end there is that the nun ghost that Neil, Dr. Gordon, has been seeing is...
we didn't know he was a ghost, but I think you're about to remind me of that.
Yeah, well, she walks off screen at the funeral of Nancy, and Neil follows her and discovers the grave of Freddy Krueger's mum,
Mrs. Krueger.
Yeah, so
Diane Krueger.
Therefore, Diane Krueger.
Who's Diane Krueger?
She's an actress. She's in Inglourious Bastards. Amanda Krueger, I think you mean.
We're all looking for Amanda Krueger.
Yeah.
Amanda Krueger.
Yes, good.
Krueger,
what does Krueger mean as a verb? Stab with a gloved hand.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. It's Amanda Krueger, the ghostly nun who just is one of a number of inexplicable parts of the film.
No, mate, you remember in one of the earlier films when Freddy says, "Oh, my mum was a nun," and she haunts people as a precursor to me.
I mean, in the film's defense, that does not sound like something Freddy would do.
So there you go. That was for all intents and purposes. That was Nightmare on Elm Street 3.
Yeah,
Dream Warriors.
Mm-hmm.
How was it for you?
Well, I had heard that Dream Warriors is considered one of the better sequels, maybe even the best sequel.
Well, that's incorrect. Maybe it's not.
Well, maybe
I
isn't.
hope it's not.
Yeah.
But...
Although actually, New Nightmare, I think Wes Craven's New Nightmare might also be
which is
really
made by Wes Craven.
Yeah. Anyway, it's not abject.
No.
It's not as bad as the second one, but it's not very good either.
What is it? It's completely medium.
Yes, I would say that.
It has a couple of inspired moments, perhaps owing to the special effects.
Yeah.
Which is basically all we have to look forward to now.
Yeah, it's finally, after 3 films, I guess in the first one they do this, and in the second one they just didn't. They use all the dream stuff to full effect.
Yeah. I think I'm on record as saying that Nightmare on Elm Street, the original, is in my museum of film.
Right. Yeah.
It's a masterpiece of a film in many ways.
Yeah, but the second film, as we said in our episode on that, you can go back and listen to it, which would be 170. They don't do anything with the dream stuff at all.
No, it's just incoherent.
Yeah, whereas in this one they really push out the nightmarish imagery. So you have things like, which is the stuff that I really enjoy from the first one, where his arms get really long or whatever. In this one, you've got like the fiery pit that appears under Joey's bed and the tongues that tie him to the bed.
Yeah, it's weird.
The TV, Freddy's arms coming out of the TV are pretty cool. The Freddy Hall of Mirrors as well weird. In the corridor.
Yeah, I was trying to work out how they got that. Did they hand draw the mirrored effect thing?
It must be like composite digital stuff.
It's weird, isn't it?
Very early stuff. And the thing that I think is the most disgusting is the track marks on, I think, Tracy's arm.
Yeah, that's the best part, because that's like, oh.
So one of the characters is a
recovering heroin addict, and she has track marks on her arm, which are highlighted earlier in the film, and then in the nightmare they become like gaping orifices. Yeah, they're like mouths / bum holes, I guess you'd call them.
Those are the two things that can be orifices. Yes.
Yeah. It's minging there.
It is disgusting, but it's disgusting in like a really effective horror movie.
It's upsetting.
Yeah, horror movie way.
Yeah, I think that's. How do you feel about the snake, the giant Freddy snake?
Yeah, that's pretty good. It's very. Yeah, I was about to make a Harry Potter reference, but I won't.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a weird and like. It's one of a number of very strange things, but I think this film gets the like weirdness back that the previous sequel didn't have.
I think what Mark Kermode said and what I've said as well is that the original Nightmare on Elm Street isn't a horror movie so much as it is a surreal movie.
Right.
It's like a Dali painting. Like obviously what you see is horrifying, but it's more like uncanny and weird.
Uh-huh.
And I think this movie gets that quite right.
Yeah, I sort of agree with that to an extent. I think it's very Mark Kermode to say something isn't. It's not a horror movie. It's
well,
actually,
I see what he means though.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, but then also you have a fountain of blood spewing out of a bed, so
which is surreal. Than horror, yeah.
No, I know, but then that's only because
no one lays awake at night thinking, "Oh, I hope my bed doesn't sprout blood." But when you see it, you're like, "Whoa, that's weird."
Yeah, but the only reason he's saying that is because most horror movies before Nightmare on Elm Street didn't deal in the surreal. So I totally understand where he's coming from. But it is all the surreal imagery is to elicit a feeling of horror, isn't it?
Yeah, uneasiness.
Yeah.
Okay.
What did you think of it?
Well, like I say, it's medium. It over relies, I think, on poorly executed cliches, which hold it back in many ways.
Yeah.
Like the set pieces are good. It's a darker film than the previous two, I think, in both color palette and tone. The last one, I'm trying to think back to Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge.
Yeah, it's the
one where it's
the
like,
gay allegory.
Yeah, right. Yeah, but not quite executed properly.
Yeah, it's just bizarre.
Yeah, and I think of things like Freddy shows up at the party in the real world and then disappears into a ball of fire.
Yeah.
Then you've got like the dog with the human face.
Oh yeah,
it's just like weird shit like that, and you're like, well, there's no coherence to any of it. Whereas this feels a lot more thoroughly baked. If you know what I mean. The worst part of it is certainly the characters in the psychiatric hospital.
Okay.
They would be more suited, I think, to something like Tracy Beaker or the Demon Headmaster.
Yeah.
Because they
or like the Goonies or something like that.
Right. They look, or like Stranger Things.
Yeah.
Like they look like they're early 20s, but they act and sound like they're like teenagers.
Yes.
Like preteens. They're into things like Dungeons and Dragons, and they.
Did you take that personally because you've also enjoyed Dungeons and Dragons?
I like Dungeons and Dragons, but I think it's a bit too strict. You don't need to say those things. You can be a bit more direct about it.
Yeah.
Anyway. But you know what I mean? There's a little bit more like. It feels like a kid's TV show because it's like the kid in the wheelchair. In his dream world, he can walk and he's a wizard master.
Totally.
And you're like, I get that, but I don't think it really makes sense in a horror movie.
The thing that bothered me about the kid stuff was the way they invoke suicide.
Yes. I think that's an important discussion. I've got quite a few notes on that, so maybe we'll come to that in a little while.
Okay.
Let's not be quite so belligerent in our takedown. What did you like about it? What made it a good sequel?
Well, I think it's good, as I said, because it uses the original as a sort of proper jumping off point in terms of exploring dreams and the interesting possibilities that opens up, because you're freed from the constraints of having to set your film in a objective reality. It's much more in line with the first film than the first sequel was.
I mean, it's never going to be a very good film because it's a sequel.
Yes,
arguably.
Yeah, I guess so.
Horror sequels, I mean,
yeah, typically they're not very good.
Yeah, totally. And this is no exception.
No, but then I appreciate the fact that they, try and recapture some of the stuff that was missing from the original sequel.
Well, Wes Craven wrote it, so clearly he sat down and said, "Listen, this was my vision." And
I think most of the deaths are good as well. If you're looking at it from a sort of slasher,
that's why most people will be showing up. I think.
Yeah, I think the what have you got? You've got the marionette, the
snake
TV. Does the snake kill anyone?
No, it's eating
Patricia Arquette.
Yeah. Kristen, but then Nancy shows up and stabs him in the eye.
Correct. Yeah, but you've got the TV. You've got the needle hand.
That's minging.
Like there's a number of like decent deaths, aren't there?
Yes, I think there's a somewhat sparing use of Freddy as well. Like we see him early on in an early scene, he like slashes at her but misses, and then you don't really see him for about half an hour.
The thing is though, that there's zero tension with regards to whether or not it's Freddy.
I didn't know whether that was a good thing or a bad thing, because like in the thing, the Compare it with the second one though, where the opening scene is Freddy driving a bus, and you're like, "What the fuck is happening?"
That was I quite like the opening scene in the previous one because that is one of the only points in the film where it just is a bit mad.
Yeah.
But there's zero tension to be had from whether or not Freddy's going to be in it, because obviously he's going to be in it.
But there's tension to be had in, is this a dream, right? There's moments where in the first one where like they're walking down the school corridors and you're like, this feels dreamlike, and you get the sense it is, and then he'll show up and do something weird. Whereas it seems to be more like in the third one, in the one we just done, they'll fool us that you see them go to sleep and then they're in a dream because they're in a weird place.
Yeah. Well, I guess this one is more about lucid dreaming, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
So, in that sense,
they're trying to
get kind of makes sense.
Yeah. Suppose so. So why is it a bad sequel?
Well, I think, like we were just saying, is pretty much absent of tension. It's just a bit boring as well, like formulaic. And for a film that's called Dream Warriors, there's a disappointingly small amount of dream war going on. Which feels like a bit of a missed opportunity. Maybe it could have been that Nancy is like part of a cult of, or like a clan of people who like go into the dream world to fight dream monsters.
Yeah, right. So she spent the intervening movie away learning how to lucid dream.
Yeah,
so
which
she
is
arrives like Sarah Connor.
Yeah, exactly. Right. That would have been great.
Yeah,
that is sort of what they've done, but not quite, right?
Yeah.
Because she is.
It's more like she's like
closed off from dreams.
She's kind of the dusty old book.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
But
although she doesn't really. It's only at that second meeting they have where she goes, "Oh, and he's a guy with a razor hand and all that sort of thing," and everyone realizes that they're having a shared dream.
Yeah, that's right. The film, I think, couldn't make up its mind whether it's an ensemble piece or whether Kristen is a protagonist. So, like, you got Nancy. Like, as soon as Nancy shows up, she has as much or more screen time than Kristen, I think. And by that point, the group scenes and slasher scenes have ramped up as well. So everyone's getting sort of equal screen time.
Yeah.
So it's an ensemble piece in that sense. And then you don't really get it would be perfectly defensible to have Nancy as a protagonist and say it's a direct sequel. And it would be perfectly defensible to have Kristen as a protagonist to break new ground. But I think having them both in it and forcing them into a situation where they're kind of like made to feel like they're close, even though you see them meet in the first act.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't make much sense. There's an over-reliance, I think, on the least interesting parts of the franchise's mythology, which is just a character who has nothing to do with what she did in the first film.
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't come into play. It's not like she has a showdown with Freddy and is like, they think it's,
right,
it's you.
Yeah,
and it's
exactly. Yeah.
There's no need to
she's
be...
not doesn't feel like the concluding part of a...
trilogy.
Yeah, like a mythology of, two enemies.
No.
In their concluding fight.
No.
Which is what it sort of tries to be, I think.
If you had this as a trilogy, it would make sense to have her come back more prepared.
Yeah.
And for him to be like...
Return of the Nancy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. The one thing that's just occurred to me, which is not really a lot to say about it, but am I right in thinking that the only white, male, able-bodied protagonist can't speak?
You've got the Doctor,
right? Yeah. Okay. So as part of the kids,
mm-hmm.
So which is quite an interesting. So the main characters are two girls.
I've got a quick rundown. Here we go. Do you remember when we used to do Friday the 13th and we'd run through the?
Yeah.
Let's do that. So we've got. I'm sure you remember Philip, who is Sleepwalker.
Right, but I suppose he is another white male speaking character.
Yes, you've got Kincaid, who is a tough kid from the streets who is prone to violence.
Yeah,
or black guy.
Yes,
you've got
a tough kid from the street. Like, oh god, yeah.
The way they made him tough was putting like
a headband on him.
Yeah, and rags around his biceps.
Yeah.
You've got Jennifer, who is a hopeful television actress. Who the fuck's Jennifer?
She's the one who
gets died in the TV,
yes,
right? Yeah.
Exactly.
You've got Will, who is wheelchair guy.
Yeah.
Wheelchair. You've got Taryn, who is heroin addict.
Yes. Yeah.
You've got Joey, who is mute.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Yeah. But I guess my only point was that for a 1980s slasher movie, it's a surprisingly diverse cast.
Yeah, it is. Although I think Kincaid's character is
they are broad stereotypes.
Strokes.
Yeah,
yes,
definitely.
I don't know, by the way, how nobody has yet worked out the importance of having clear rules in horror movies. Like Nightmare on Elm Street was strong because the rules were clear.
Mm-hmm.
Don't go to sleep. Freddy will get you. Some reason you can bring things like if you get hurt in the dream world, you get hurt in the real world.
Yeah, and
to some extent you can bring things through, but that's never really. That's the weakest part of it, I think.
Yeah,
particularly at the end where it's like it becomes a bit more chaotic and you're not sure what's dream and not.
Yes. Yeah, when Nancy drags Freddy back into the real world.
Yeah. Well, not even that. Like the final coda where it's like,
does she live forever in a dream? And then in this film, doesn't she say that her mum died in her sleep?
Something like that.
So, yeah.
But we have something similar here again because they wanted to have this like Jason and the Argonauts fight. It's like we want Freddy in the real world as a skeleton.
Yeah.
But in order to have that, you have to have the film mechanic where Freddy is able to possess his own bones in the real world, but that means he can't simultaneously be in the dream world. But then he can also go back at will to being a dream ghost, and it all becomes quite hard to keep track of.
It doesn't make a lick of sense. And
then again at the end he appears to be beaten, and then it's like a light comes on in a doll's house owned by one of the victims and now in the possession of someone else. And you're like, what the fuck?
Well, I mean, the film has its more than its fair share of like what the fuck is going on moments.
Right.
Chiefly the one where Freddy is able to possess his own bones and come back as a magic skeleton who can like throw Nancy's dad like stronger than a man with muscles would be able to.
Well, he's magic, man.
And
dream magic,
not to mention Neil seeing Freddy's mother's ghost as well.
What's wrong with that?
It's mad.
When I saw they were doing Nightmare on Elm Street 3 Dream Warriors, I was thinking to myself, I bet they go down the classic route of Freddy's mum being a nun who was raped by 100 men.
Yeah,
it's old ground, mate. It's cliche, really.
Yeah. The thing is with all the story stuff that they try is that it falls short because, as you said before, there's really no reason for Nancy to be in it.
No, exactly. Other than sequel.
Yeah. Anything to do with Freddy in terms of trying to sort of colour in his backstory is basically counteracted by the fact that he's just a panto villain. Yeah. That is his function.
It's exceptionally panto.
And Freddy's origin story being centred around a like violent, degrading rape is like, even for a 1980s film, feels distasteful and crude.
Yeah.
So there's like
it doesn't like make it doesn't change anything.
The good parts.
He's not let you go, oh, he's even worse.
Right.
Or,
exactly.
Oh, I feel sorry for him. You're just like, well.
And also, there's like a sort of like very strange biological implication that because there were like 50 inmates, he's somehow a combination of all their worst traits.
Or that somehow being in a psychiatric hospital means that your son will be a child murderer. Yeah,
so it's genetic then, is it?
Don't know. And also, Freddy wasn't a rapist; he was a murderer.
Right. And his mum presumably was still a nun.
Yeah, we see her.
So it wouldn't have been nurture that led to him becoming a murderer, is what I mean.
Mate, what's the point are you making?
Listen, justify this film, please.
Oh, well, okay, I can't justify it, but I can also elaborate on why it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Right? There's some discussions of suicide. Which, there's a chance here for them to have done something interesting, right? So let's go back to Nightmare on Elm Street 2, where, as we said earlier, we alluded to it, the main character is apparently a closeted gay guy, and Freddy becomes a kind of cipher for his latent homosexual desires.
Yeah.
And it to some extent that works. They didn't commit to it fully enough for it to be fleshed out.
Yeah.
Or think of a movie like Raw, the French movie from a couple of years ago, where it's a similar thing where there's a sexual awakening happening, which essentially, I won't spoil anything for that, but a girl who is vegetarian begins to eat meat and more, right? Mm-hmm. Very interesting thing, and it's a way that horror can show psychological aspects of a character's personality, right?
Yeah.
So discussing suicide in this movie
mm-hmm.
gives you the chance to have Freddy, and I think this would be perfectly acceptable to have him as a representation or as a cipher for psychological distress
mm-hmm.
or for mental health issues. And he, in many ways, because he's a dream ghost, it makes sense to have him as that.
Yeah, so
right?
like a Babadook type.
Exactly, thing. Right? But instead, the group discussions where they're all sat around talking about suicide, someone who says like, I'm having suicidal feelings, they just get shouted down and said, "Oh, suicide's bad." And you're like, well, that's... If the characters are saying things like, having these dreams makes me feel like I can't go on. Or having these dreams, nobody understands me. Nobody understands what I'm saying about these dreams. These dreams make me feel a certain way. These dreams put me in a certain place. Or,
Yeah.
But none of that discussion really takes place. And instead, the teenagers are just flat drawings who are told that suicide is, selfish. And
yeah, there's, an unsympathetic psychiatrist woman.
Yeah.
The head of the psychiatric hospital that they're in, who is
just a rubbish,
just a bit of a tedious character. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, instead of having those discussions, which would have been interesting and would have added an element of dramatic or
tension or whatever,
or just having some
humanity to it.
I guess. But what would you say? What is the Babadook to you?
Well, it's like a metaphor,
right?
Metaphorical representation of something, right?
Right. So it's metaphor is the word I was looking for.
Yeah, I guess so. You could turn Freddy into a metaphor for something.
Like he's been a metaphor for homosexual desire.
Right. Exactly. An allegory.
Yeah.
Type thing. Yeah.
Yes. But in this, there's a missed opportunity. Instead, they have group hypnosis sessions in which everyone, including the hypnotist, falls asleep.
Yeah. No, that happens, Joe. You've obviously not spent much time in group hypnosis.
Yeah, I've not spent much time in psychiatric hospitals where they have group sessions and the whole group is put to sleep at the same time.
Yeah.
Including the hypnotist.
Mm.
All right, mate. So what do we know about Fred?
Well, this film gives us some new information.
Yeah, richly desired information as well.
Yeah.
He's the bastard son of 100 maniacs.
Well, there is that, but also the fact that it gives some indication for why he might be terrorizing people, and that's that he consumes his victims' souls in order to grow stronger. He lifts up his jumper, and there's the faces of all the people that he's killed thus far.
Johnny Depp's in there.
Well, it's just in this film, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Presumably Johnny Depp was far too expensive.
Yeah. They couldn't even buy his likeness to have on
rubber.
Freddy's body.
Yeah. So that might indicate why he bothers doing any of this.
Yeah.
To just random kids rather than the children.
Well, no, they are these.
Are they all Elm Street
that's
kids?
what Nancy says. Is
right.
You're the last children of Elm Street.
Right, I see.
And you're like, well,
that's good. Well, then presumably that means that there's not going to be a Nightmare on Elm Street 4.
Well, they're still alive, aren't they? So it has to be the same characters.
That is true.
In fact, I was looking on Kincaid's IMDb page.
Yeah,
he's in the next one. Mate.
Excellent.
So the best character in any movie ever.
Oh, can we just watch that now and not wait 10 weeks, please?
No. So the other things we know about Freddy, all right, just a quick rundown.
Mm-hmm.
He's the bastard son of 100 maniacs.
Yeah.
His mother is a ghost who can only be seen by one person, a psychiatrist, who is only tangentially linked to her or her son.
Yeah.
He can inhabit the real world by possessing his burnt skeleton.
Mm-hmm.
So we now know he can...
so that's a big change, isn't it? Or like a big... thing. Maybe he could always do that, but he couldn't get out of where his skeleton was buried, or where is it? Was it in the boiler
back of
room?
A car?
In the boiler room?
No, it was in the back of a car. in the
Right.
boot.
Okay.
I think so he can now get in the real world in 3 ways.
Right.
One being dragged through by Nancy.
Yeah.
One by
Possessing.
taking the physical form of the screaming gay guy from the last film.
Yeah, but also making him look like Freddy.
Yes, and also possessing his own bones.
Yeah. Which is fine.
Yeah, that's fine. And we also know that the effect of his attacks can have visible effects on victims' bodies.
Yeah.
In the real world, but that's generally at the discretion of the scene in which it takes place and whether other characters in the film are watching it.
Yeah, the notable scene in this one is when he writes a message on, is it Joey's chest, saying "Come and get him, you bitch" or something like that.
Yeah, good old Freddy. There's but then the marionette guy gets his veins pulled out.
But he hasn't really, has he? He's just walking because Kincaid watches him walk out of the room.
That's what I mean.
Yeah. Oh, I see.
He does in the dream cut him open to get the veins out.
Yeah.
But
So it is at Freddy's discretion. Then.
Yeah. Well, it's not Freddy's. It's at the filmmaker's discretion.
Right. I see. Yeah, that's true.
Anyway, that's that. That's what we know.
Yeah. I'm sure that's more than enough, Joe.
Enough for this question. How would you survive in this movie?
Let me tell you. So my first bit of advice is actually for Freddy, who I could surmise from the existence of 5 other Nightmare on Elm Street films does survive this film.
Yeah.
He spends a lot of time grandstanding when he could be killing.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna get you, bitch.
Lots of times where he's holding someone by the throat off the ground, but not killing them, just sort of standing there.
He does enjoy it, though, doesn't he?
He does enjoy it, but if he needs their souls to make himself more powerful, then he should really just cut to the chase, shouldn't he?
I don't know. Maybe
you think it's like a Monsters Inc. thing, right? So that he
gets more power out of it. No, I was gonna say more like, if I cooked you a lovely meal, and you just sat down and would just poured it into your mouth.
Yeah.
I'd be like, what are you doing? You'd be like, well, I said, well, savour it, man.
So you think he's doing it...
it's a delicacy.
You think he's relishing it for the sake of the victim, so they don't feel like, oh, he really rushed into killing me. I don't think he savoured it at all.
No. It's more
That's an insult.
It's more like, is food for fuel or food for fun, I guess.
Right. So he's
He's a bit of a connoisseur.
Right, of course, yeah, rather than just someone who, shovels it in. Either way, though, it's classic villain behaviour, isn't it?
Yeah.
I guess even there's a TV tropes entry which defines it as evil gloating.
Yeah.
Which is a good, and Freddy does it all the time.
I think that in Mindhunter they talk about a similar thing. They don't at all. There's something in Mindhunter that I just thought of and is relevant.
Okay. They don't go, in 25 years' time, there are these films called Nightmare on Elm Street.
No. But they say that a serial killer, that they only want to be what's the word? They lack significance and they find significance in killing people.
I see.
But the problem is the only person that can respect your celebrity is your victim.
Right.
And that celebrity ends when you kill them.
Yeah.
Right?
And so, yeah.
So Freddy can be like, I'm Freddy Krueger, I'm gonna get you. But as soon as he kills the kid...
Yeah, he's just there going, that's me for another 6 months or whatever.
Exactly, yeah. So maybe that's what it is. It's like he needs an audience, otherwise he'll just get bored.
Right, so if they were like, oh, just get on with it and kill me, he'd be like, oh, but I want to take my time and enjoy it.
Yes.
Basically, I think more often than not, he's like holding someone up and then rather than just deliver it. If this was the raid, right, he would just cut his victims to ribbons and be on to the next one. But they'd probably stand a better chance of surviving.
But that's because they'd also be about to cut him to ribbons.
Yeah.
Whereas these kids are pretty defenseless.
Well, they are dream warriors, though, John.
That's true.
How about you? Have you got any survival ideas?
Yeah. If you're Nancy and you're a dream technician or whatever she is, when you show up to day one of work at a ward where everyone is reporting basically the exact dreams that you had.
Yeah.
Just go up to them and go like, was Freddy in your dream? Was Freddy in your dream? Was Freddy in your dream? And they'd be like, yeah.
Not wait until someone pulls you into their dream.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But this sounds like a dream I had. Is Freddy in it? Yeah.
It is actually quite, it's quite risky to just let it lie, isn't it? Because you could end up with someone being killed. You're basically...
And she does.
Yeah, exactly. So 2 people die, in fact.
And she dies.
And Nancy dies, yeah. So it's actually, if she's signed any sort of Hippocratic oath, she's breaking it by... I don't know if sleep technicians do that. Do you think the reason that she's become a dream technician is because they went to the sleep centre and he was like, listen, no one knows anything about dreams, and she was like, this fucking joker, the amount of money we're paying.
You love that guy. Is that your favourite scene in any movie ever?
I think so, yeah. Definitely. And it's funny that you mentioned Nancy, actually, because
is it funny?
Well, maybe
Why
not.
Aren't you laughing?
Right. Well, because my next piece of advice relates to everyone who attends Nancy's funeral. Okay. Which is my piece of advice is don't wear casual, light-coloured clothing to a funeral, as it's poor manners.
Okay.
All of the kids wear like their casual clothes.
Anoraks
at Nancy's funeral, and like sweatshirts and all that sort of thing. Right. It's disrespectful. It'd be disrespectful to anyone, but it's particularly disrespectful to someone who's saved all of your lives, right?
I don't know. Maybe some people would say, I don't want black at my funeral.
Yeah, but everyone else is wearing black.
Maybe they didn't get the memo.
What memo do you need for a funeral?
Like, they were there when she died.
To be fair,
maybe
right,
her dying breath.
I'm not surprised that you said this, because I've actually written down that I think you're the sort of person who would turn up to a funeral without a tie.
Depends who died. Or how they died. If they died in a tie accident, it would be inappropriate.
That's true.
If they were killed because...
in a Thai prison.
If they died because they didn't wear a tie to a funeral.
They choked on Thai food.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or they died of typhoid.
Hey, there we are.
Then it would be disrespectful.
You could
then you would need to get the memo, though.
Yeah.
You'd need a memo that said, listen, we're having a tie-free wedding. Because it's just too painful.
Yeah. Do you know who...
Please, no one mention Star Wars. I can't stand to think about TIE fighters.
I was about to say that, because they're the Dream Warriors. They could be the TIE fighters. I was trying to work out how can I get that across.
But they don't wear ties, Joe. That's the problem.
Because they're TIE fighters.
Yeah.
TIE or not TIE, it doesn't matter, because Nancy's still dead. There's not going to save... No one dies at the funeral.
I think if you're part of a community, you're more likely to...
But they're not part of it. They didn't know her.
No, but as in... If they, let's say they turned up in appropriate funeral dress, they might have become part of the community because Nancy's friends and family, whoever is there, might have been like, oh, how did you know Nancy? Oh, she was our sleep dream technician, and then you make friends, you're part of a community. Humans who are part of a community live longer, right? So by turning up with inappropriate funeral wear, they are... jeopardizing their chances of living a long life. Yes, exactly.
I don't know.
Do you or do you not agree that it's poor manners to...
I don't... It depends on the funeral.
Right, okay. If you turned up to a funeral and everyone was wearing black other than you, who was wearing like jeans and a sweatshirt, would you feel uncomfortable and feel like you've misjudged it?
Probably yes.
Well, then they misjudged it. But it's
only
only them.
They're not the only one. There's other people who are doing it.
They're the only ones who are not in black.
Yeah, but if I went to a funeral and showed up in jeans and a t-shirt, and I saw like 7 other people there in jeans and a t-shirt.
No, because you would have arrived with them. There's no way they came from...
Right.
They came individually from a psychiatric hospital.
Right.
It'd be like if you
the minibus took them there.
Right. It'd be like you in a minibus and you're in the minibus. You sure we shouldn't have worn black? And you're like, nah, it's fine. Nancy was a pretty, laid back girl, so she won't mind that we're in our sweatpants.
Yeah, shell suit.
Yeah.
What I would say though is, if they came from the psychiatric hospital, they probably don't have suits there.
They release.
They don't have suits.
You can't... What? So the psychiatric hospital whose employee has died can't source just black clothing. I don't believe that.
Times are tight.
I don't believe that.
Oh.
I don't believe it.
I would say I think this is mealy mouth. I don't think it has anything to do with anything. I think you just got
a bee in my bonnet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, maybe I do.
Well, if you died and I came to your funeral with no tie, would you mind?
Yes.
Why?
Because, okay, 2 reasons.
All right.
One, I think, it's unless it's explicitly stated in the invite, it's a sign of disrespect.
Right.
Okay. Like if you get an invite to a funeral and they say, "Oh, we want it to be colourful as a celebration of Chris's verdant personality,"
yeah,
then fine.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I think it's disrespectful. Secondly, I know how much you hate wearing ties.
I do fucking hate wearing ties.
And so if I die early, I insist on you wearing a tie.
We went to a wedding recently. I didn't wear a tie there.
Yeah.
It wasn't disrespectful.
Which wedding are you talking about?
The cave one.
Right, I see, yeah. Now, if I have a funeral in a cave, all bets are off.
Right, okay.
And that was fancy dress.
Yeah, but it wasn't. It was like an item. Listen, the point is, I'm not wearing a tie now. Do you feel disrespected?
No, but it's not a funeral. Much though it seems like it at times.
Right.
Have you got any more tips?
So basically, if you're going to a funeral, wear what you want.
That's not the conclusion we've come to.
No, that's my survival tip.
Right. Why is that your survival tip?
Because if you live under someone's weird rules, then you're not really living.
What's the thing from Assassin's Creed? Live without rules, live forever.
Exactly.
Shit like that.
Said by a man who's in like a rule-based cult.
Yeah. No, what is it? I want to remember now. Nothing is
real. Everything is
permitted.
Assassin's Creed motto. Nothing is true. Everything is permitted. Was taken from a novel, Element, by Vladimir Bartol.
Great. I've got some tips just to close us out, Joe.
Go
on lucid dreaming.
Right.
They're from asapscience.com, which
nice.
I'm sure is as thoroughly researched as it gets.
Yeah, as thoroughly researched as the How to Survive podcast.
Yeah, so these are...
You use that as research, though.
Yeah.
So what does that say about you?
That I'm not taking this seriously.
Right, okay.
So tip number 1, recognise your dreams. Everybody has about 3 to 7 dreams a night. The problem is that we quickly forget them. The first strategy towards lucid dreaming is keeping a dream journal. Keeping the journal improves your ability to recall dreams and helps facilitate lucidity. So every time you wake up, write down what you can remember, even if it's nothing, just to form the habit.
Even if it's nothing? How do you write down nothing?
Tip 2.
Tonight, I had nothing in my dreams.
Do a reality check. The next step is performing reality checks. In a dream, something as simple as reading a sentence, counting your fingers, or checking time can often go astray. Try it right now. Look at the time.
Yep.
Look away.
Yep.
Then look back again.
Yeah.
Assuming you aren't currently dreaming, the time probably stayed the same.
Well, if it moved over by a minute?
However, in a dream, the time or the words you were reading will often completely change. The key is to do these reality checks when you're awake. This way, they become second nature, and when you're dreaming, you'll be likely to perform the same test and realise that something is wrong.
Have you ever read a book in a dream?
No.
I've often had dreams where I have to read things, and it's just like, you read like word after word, and it's just nonsense. It's really funny. A bit like what you're doing now.
Yeah. Tip number 3. Say this phrase.
Okay.
After this comes a technique known as mnemonically induced lucid dreams, which is an acronym for MILD.
What's the phrase? MILD. Say what phrase?
Mnemonically, as in
a mnemonic.
In mnemonic, yeah. Mnemonic.
No, it's called a mnemonic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But not P mnemonic. It's...
What's my phrase I have to say in my dream?
There is no phrase.
What do you mean?
As you're falling asleep, begin to think of a recent dream and imagine yourself becoming lucid. The idea is to reinforce the intention to realize you're dreaming in your dream. Keep repeating the phrase, "I will have a lucid dream tonight." The highest rates of success tend to come if you wake up in the middle of the night, get up for 30 minutes, and then go back to sleep with these intentions in mind.
So you're saying, I wake up in the middle of the night, I get up for half an hour, and just say, I want a lucid dream.
But you're forgetting, Joe. You've got to keep a dream journal and write down nothing, even if nothing happens.
Right.
Tip 2 is do a reality check. So you've got to spend your time looking at clocks and books, looking away, and then looking back to check whether or not things have changed.
Consistent.
Doing it so consistently that it becomes a tick, a behavioural tick.
Yeah. I've heard one suggestion before, which is to flick the lights on enough, because light switches don't work in dreams.
Is that true? Can that be true?
I've looked into lucid dreaming before.
Right. Well,
this is not news to me.
Hush your noise and let's. So, do you remember the phrase yet to repeat?
I want a lucid dream.
I will have a lucid dream tonight.
Right.
Tip 5. Be aware that you're falling asleep. Finally, once you've had success with mild, an advanced...
What's mild?
Mild is the mnemonic-induced lucid dreams.
Right.
So this is once you've had success with mnemonic-induced lucid dreams.
Right.
An advanced technique known as wake-induced lucid dreams, WILD, may be attempted. The idea behind this is to keep your mind aware while your body falls asleep. The risk here is that you'll...
Sleep paralysis?
The risk here is that you'll experience sleep paralysis, a completely normal phenomenon that prevents your body from moving during sleep, except you'll be awake, which can be somewhat frightening.
Have you ever had that?
Possibly.
I've had I went to a festival once, and someone in the tent near me was smoking a joint, I think.
Yeah, I'm sure, yeah.
Right. And I got home.
He didn't inhale.
Exactly. And I got home, and I had sleep paralysis for like 3 days. I was a nervous wreck.
Yeah.
And I had lucid dreams.
You were like a walking Frank advert.
Yeah.
Yeah. And in many ways, you've never recovered.
I haven't touched a drop of beer in a long time.
The extra caveat with wild is that during sleep paralysis, the brain can play tricks on you, inducing strong feelings of fear and causing hallucinations of dark and scary figures approaching you. Do you know why sleep paralysis is a thing?
Why?
It's because it happens during the type of sleep where you dream.
REM.
Yeah, REM sleep. So it's when you're dreaming, and it's basically to stop your body acting out the dream as you're experiencing it. So if you're like running down the road, it's so that you have sleep paralysis, so you don't like
kicking your wife in the back.
Right, exactly. But then sometimes so you know that feeling that you get sometimes where you're like, if you come out of like deep sleep really abruptly
and you gasp awake,
or where I sometimes get it in the mornings where you're like, it's like your fucking head is underwater, and you're like, oh my god, I'm never gonna feel awake ever again.
I watched Mad Men lately, and Don Draper gets woken up in the night a lot,
right?
And I'm like, he must be so unhappy with this, because whenever I get waken up in the night by whatever it is, it's just like, unless it's sometimes you're adrenalized and you just like jump out of bed. Yeah. But sometimes you like you say, your head's under an anvil and you're like, what the fuck is happening?
that I think is a similar feeling to sleep paralysis, but when you have sleep paralysis, it's like the line between. So you know that feeling when you've been dreaming and then you're awake and you sort of like feel like you're switching back and forth between on the cusp. That's what sleep paralysis is like. Only you can't move. Yeah. So you will still be sort of half dreaming and you can't move and you're aware that you can't move. Yeah. Which is pretty frightening stuff.
Yeah, I've had it. I have it.
But will you try the lucid dream test and report back?
So I have looked into, like I say in the past, I got into it quite a lot.
Yeah.
And I became...
It is very on brand for you, I must say.
I got quite good at it. I used to work split shifts in a pub. And I'd come home... This is how I don't know what it was about this that made it work, but between those shifts, I'd have like 3-hour break. So I'd come home, eat, go and have a nap. And in that nap, I was able to lucid dream. And I think it's because my body was probably energized from caffeine and stuff.
Yeah.
But my mind was knackered. My brain was knackered. So I went to sleep, and I was able to have lucid dreams then.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but that also coincided with a time in your life when you were smoking an awful lot of marijuana.
I wouldn't say an awful lot.
A lot of marijuana.
I was smoking marijuana.
Habitually?
Yes, probably.
Right.
But I don't think...
I wonder if that has an effect. I don't know.
I don't know, because if that was the case, the rest of the time I was smoking marijuana would probably come up.
Yeah.
I think it was a mixture of like the physical exhaustion and the caffeination, I'd say.
Correspondence, Joe. We've had a few tweets. One tweet, in fact. Had a single tweet that is worth reading.
Yeah, lots of tweets, but only one that's worth reading out.
Well, it's only one that is like phrased in a way that would work for reading out on a podcast.
Most of it's like, you fucking shitbags.
Yeah, I delete all those before you can see them.
Thanks.
Maggie on Twitter says, would love to hear how you guys would survive Velvet Buzzsaw.
It's on Nessus, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like Nathan Barley meets The Ring.
Okay.
Just don't go in expecting brilliance, and you'll have a great time.
Jake Gyllenhaal, from the director of Nightcrawler.
Yeah,
as well.
and he's an art critic who goes mad, maybe.
I think so.
Like it's a cursed piece of artwork. Or
maybe we could
like
do art season and pair it with The Square.
Yeah, is that a Survive film?
It's
just a
film
you want to watch. Yeah.
It's got Dominic West and Elizabeth Olsen in it, right?
Yeah, I think. What's her name from Mad Men?
Yeah, Elizabeth Olsen.
No, that's
no, her name's Peggy Olsen.
Yeah,
Elizabeth Moss.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
there you go. Got there in the end. Have you had any emails?
Yeah, we have. Quick one from Josh M. Who,
hi Josh,
you may remember, he recommended The Road.
That's like the reverse of the guy in the Fire Festival documentary who's called M. David.
M. David.
Yeah.
M. David.
M. David.
Hi again, guys. Thanks for picking The Road. I like the Christian rapture angle, definitely. It makes more sense than nuclear apocalypse. I might have been clutching at straws there. I preferred your volcano allergy.
Volcano allergy.
You're the volcano allergy.
Well, that's only because Cormac McCarthy pretty much spells it out, doesn't he?
But you could say he spells out the Christian.
No, I think yours is better thought out. It's less rote than a big volcano.
There was a volcano came along and it did bad, mate. Anyway, Josh goes on.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen it, check out The Rover. Guy Pearce and Robert Pattinson in post-apocalyptic Australia.
Rover?
Yep. Think Mad Max with a lot less leather. I've not come across it. Guy Pearce from Neighbours.
Yeah.
Robert Pattinson from
Twilight
and Harry Potter. Your favourite films?
Twilight and Harry Potter.
Yeah. Harry Cook has emailed us.
Hello,
hey guys.
Harry.
Big fan of the podcast. By the way, thanks Josh for your email and for recommending The Road in the first place. Harry Cook has emailed, big fan of the podcast and have a couple of films to suggest. Snowpiercer from 2013. Survivors of Earth's second ice age live out their days on a luxury train.
Have you seen it?
No. Have you?
Yes.
Good?
Yes, it is.
Good.
It's very interesting. There was a whole weird licensing issue that meant that it was never available in the UK for years, but I think that's now been sorted.
What was it?
Like I said, it was just like a strange distribution issue,
right?
That meant that it would never see the light of day in the UK. But now it's okay. I know. I was listening to a podcast with a film critic who loved the film so much that he got a ferry to France to buy it.
Really?
On DVD or something. Yeah.
You were listening to it with him?
No, as in he was on the podcast.
It was me. I didn't do that because I'm a film critic. Sleepaway Camp is another recommendation. A traumatized and very shy young girl is sent to summer camp with her cousin. Shortly after her arrival, anyone with sinister or less than honourable intentions gets their comeuppance. A very strange film that will take you back to the summer camp slasher genre. The overall film is of questionable quality, but is worth sticking to for the truly shocking ending.
Okay. Lord knows we haven't had enough camp-based slasher movies.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Harry, we did a bit of planning yesterday, and Snowpiercer is on the upcoming list in the next few months, so keep an eye out. Harry says there's a credible theory that it's a sequel to Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Right. Well, Harry, Listen, email that in because I'm interested to read it. And
it's a video. He's actually provided a link.
Oh, excellent. Well, that's perfect. We'll make sure we mention
that. Email here from Blasage, and again, if I'm pronouncing that wrong, apologies. It's a really long email about how correct I was in my Bible allegory.
Right. For a lot of fan mail coming in for your Bible theory.
It's a long, but generally, Blasage is saying, Joe, you're so right. I can't even believe it.
Yeah.
Jamie has emailed.
Mm-hmm.
Again, if pronouncing that wrong, it's Jaime. Is that James?
Jamie, probably.
I don't know. Hi, my name is James. There you go. Just found your podcast and it's very fun. I'd like to recommend these films: Rubber, The Golden Dream, Exam, and La Cabina.
I've seen Exam.
Have you?
Yeah, it's an interesting film. It's very, very like The Circle.
Okay. But they're in an exam.
It literally is.
Really?
Yeah, they're in a room and they have 90 minutes to finish. I think they have 90 minutes to complete the paper and they can't leave until it's done. If they leave, they'll get killed. And the clock starts, they turn the paper over and it's blank. And it's
nice
like
idea.
a mad apprentice, like gone wrong type.
Apprentice gone
like
wrong.
it is like Darren Brown does The Apprentice.
Yeah,
but it's quite good. Rubber is like the weird, like Gary Busey, I think, B movie about a sentient tire that goes around murdering people.
Really?
Yeah.
That sounds good. Let's do it. It's on the list.
Great.
Chris has been in touch. What's up, Buttercups? I was listening to your episode on Escape from New York. I reckon you'd love Fortress and Fortress 2, two absolute Z movies starring Christopher Lambert. Imagine RoboCop, but they'd cut out the middleman and had a tenth of the budget.
Right.
What's the middleman?
I think he means like anyone with any talent, I guess.
Right.
But
or like
Z movies, I presume he means not a B movie, but 25
yeah.
levels lower.
Plus, it has Kurtwood Smith.
Good for Kurtwood Smith.
Who doesn't love that cheeky, cheerful-looking scamp? If that didn't satiate your hunger for films where you wonder about the sobriety of the writers, check out Damnation Alley too. What kind of idiot wants 2 wheels part axle when you can have 6? Keep up the good work. Love and kisses, Chris.
Like, thank you for your email, Chris. You could have made up all of those films, as far as I know.
Maybe you did.
Yeah.
Some emails make you question the sobriety of the writer.
Yeah.
Devin has emailed, hey again. I've been following you two for a while now and look forward to turning in each week. I have even gotten my boyfriend to tune into the episodes you do on films we watch together. A few months back, I requested Bad Ben.
Can I just stop you there? What was their name? Devin. Listen, Devin. Unless they are downloading it independently, not interested. I want two individual downloads, please. So I don't want any of this. Oh, we listen to it together in the car. Not good enough. All right?
Yeah. You want Devin and boyfriend to both be listening on separate devices.
Yes, please.
Ideally,
as many devices as you can.
Yeah.
And that goes
with
for
different
all of us.
IP addresses and different accounts, so you can leave different 5-star reviews.
Exactly.
Devin says, a few months back, I requested Bad Ben. Do you remember this?
Yeah.
And you said...
it was never going to happen.
Yeah, like, you're never going to watch Bad Ben.
Yeah.
Misspelling maybe of Mad Men, I don't know. Anyway, Devin put 2 laughing, crying emojis. That would be hilarious. I just finished Await Further Instructions on Netflix yesterday, and I think it's worth talking about. It was quite creepy, hilarious, disgusting, and flat out wrong. A Doctor Who or Black Mirror episode gone wrong. I'm curious to know how you would survive this one, because it's tricky.
Okay.
Heard of it?
No.
Await Further Instruction.
There you go.
2018 on Netters. So there you go. Those are some emails.
Thank you.
I think there's one other tweet that you've failed to mention. Came to my attention. That someone wants more discussion of Dragon Ball Z, Gilmore Girls, and what was it? WWE.
Yeah, that was from our Australian friend Ben.
Yeah.
Who said, "More wrestling, Gilmore Girls, and Dragon Ball talk, please." But what you may not have seen, Joe, which may change your tune on it, is that he then followed it up with another tweet which said, "And less vegan talk."
No, he didn't. Did he really? Well, Ben, don't listen again.
Thank you very much for listening. HowToSurviveShow@gmail.com, @HowToSurvivePod are the email and Twitter addresses to get in touch. Don't forget to leave a 5-star review if you've enjoyed the podcast, because that really helps us find more listeners. And the more listeners we have, the more inclined we are to not stop doing the podcast.
Yeah. Basically, if we don't get an upward trend soon, it's going to be curtains for the old How to Survive podcast.
Yeah, so if you enjoy listening, then please spread the word.
Chris has stopped watching the movies.
I just guessed now.
Yeah, and that's why people are emailing in. They want to hear more about Dragon Ball.
Yeah. Last week we were talking about The Raid. I hadn't watched The Raid. I watched a bunch of musicals, and then I was like, how can I crowbar this in? I know.
Yeah. That's Chris for you.
Yeah.
A barefaced liar, but he's not lying about one thing.
Yeah.
That this is a 5-star podcast and we need 5-star reviews.
What are we covering next week, Joe?
Yes. Yes. I see you know your franchise as well.
A succulent horror film?
What's the crime? Watching Evil Dead 2?
Yes, it's Evil Dead 2.
Yeah.
What a bizarre way of throwing to next week's podcast.
Evil Dead 2?
Yeah.
Is this the one where he gets the chainsaw on his hand?
We'll find out next week. Also from 1987, directed by Sam Raimi. So look forward to that. Apparently it's a classic. I haven't seen it. Have you seen it?
No.
Great. Looking forward to it. See you next week.
Wait, what's after that? We like to do 2 ahead.
No, we don't.
Well,
bye.